I'm here again at Content Marketing World, and I have a guest that I've already interviewed before in the past, but I love interviewing, and we're back in your old town, right?
Yes, it's weird that I am not a Clevelander anymore. I am a Cleveland alum, having moved to New York City.
Yeah, so this is Jeffrey from Yext, and he's the CMO, and Yext is an amazing platform for being able to tie location and be able to get that information out about your businesses and where they're at. And it's one of the things that so many people I see fail at in marketing departments that don't even actually own that process.
We were talking about that today in our session, just that the idea of location data management continues to be this underappreciated yet imperative portion of marketing's responsibility set. And it's largely in part because a lot of what came about in terms of mapping services and search engines just kind of auto-magically had your location data back in the day. And it was reasonably accurate. And
Close enough.
That was fine. And so we have other fish to fry. We got to worry about, if you really want to go back, we got to worry about email marketing. And then we had to worry about SEO. And then we had to worry about PPC, and then we had to worry about social media, and then we had to worry about mobile phones, and then we had to, wait a second, mobile phones, consumers now are actually going places. They're actually using these phones and these devices to go from point A to point B. If our location data isn't right, we end up with frustrated customers. Absolutely. And so that's in where Yext walks. We had this epiphany a number of years ago that the world of location data management was going to flip from a third-party unmanaged world in which Google and others relied on third-party aggregated data sources for name, address, phone number, and the hundreds of other different attributes you can have about a particular business location, to one that was first-party managed, where the businesses, the brands themselves, managed and published that data out to all of the disparate sources that would use it. So maps, apps, directories, and search engines. And so that's how our Power Listings network was born. And as we have evolved and developed a location cloud, which is essentially a platform that you use to manage your location data. And yes, you can publish it out to the Power Listings network, which includes Google and Facebook and Apple Maps and Bing and Yahoo and Yelp and Foursquare and all these disparate kind of third-party systems.
Yeah.
But you can also use it and publish it to your own website or your own apps.
Nice.
So it puts the businesses in control of their location data, and that's the way that we think it should be.
Yeah, and as a guy who implements content management systems all the time, one of the things that we like to stress is the location of all the different places where an employee might want to interact with you, or a potential career hire, or a customer, or whatever it is. And it's usually like the last thing on their mind, right?
Yeah.
And it's so important to be able to have that integration with something that's bigger, so when things change, we're not talking to 18 different teams to get it done.
Exactly. You've got an update once and publish everywhere mentality with our location cloud. And that's our vision, is how do we continue to create products that really help our customers get their customers through their front doors with greater regularity. And it's all about what is important to the customer at the mobile moment, at the moment of decision, what Google would call micro moments. And we certainly feel that we're a foundational part of that. And once you have that location data in a managed state, you have a source of truth for it, which Yext can be. Now you can begin to do really interesting things with the location data, because you know where all of your facilities are located. You know where all your business locations are. So for instance, we just worked with Snapchat, and we have the ability for our enterprise customers to port out their locations and have that digested by Snapchat. So now they can do geofilters at scale. And that was something that was real important, obviously, to Snapchat as they're growing. And that's, one of the advertising revenue streams for them.
Yeah.
And that was, extremely frustrating to have to do, data entry for all of these individual locations. So we can be a part of that solution. And so we're looking at all of the different things, and all you have to do is open up your smartphone and look at the apps and look at how many of them are asking for, hey, can we use your location? And they're using that to provide context so that they can provide you with better content. Being here at Content Marketing World, that's an important piece
And
of the puzzle.
people dismiss location so much, but let's look at this summer phenomenon of Pokemon Go.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You're an avid player, right?
I am level 24.
I'm 23. Dang it. You got me beat.
I just leveled up last week, but a glitch in the game denied me any of the benefits of leveling up.
No, but that game, even when you were out of augmented reality and you were just looking at the game, it was based off of where you're at. And you saw these like mom and pop pizza businesses having the month of their life because all they did was go on the game, buy a lure, and for $4 a day, they constantly assigned that lure to their pizza shop and people came in and bought things, right?
Yep.
So location and the integration of mobile devices, that's just a preview, right, of what's to come. Now imagine like when we all start putting the goggles on our face and stuff like that and walking around with more and more augmented reality, how important consistent location data that's geolocated and will land on a map it's going to be.
Well, and I think it's important to unpack the Pokemon Go phenomenon. It hit at a perfect moment for my family because we literally had just relocated from Cleveland to Manhattan. And we live half block off of Central Park. And I had seen, articles a couple of months prior to the release about Pokemon Go, but, Pokemon missed my generation. But there we are that weekend, and my kids are talking about this app, and they're like, yeah, you should download it. We spent an entire weekend wandering Central Park, learning about that entire park in ways we couldn't have otherwise. And I have a picture that I shared in my session today at Content Marketing World of myself, my kids, and these 3 other groups of complete strangers representing the full diversity of age, gender, and race in New York City, all with big, broad smiles on their faces, all with smartphones in their hands.
Yeah.
We had bumped into each other and we're sharing, hey, did you find this Pokemon? Did you do this? And for those folks who haven't played the game, they're probably a little burned out on the coverage. And so set aside what you feel about, the coverage of the phenomenon. It was a phenomenon. It was, in some ways, the summer's pet rock. But Pokemon Go is not going to go away. It's going to settle into a core group of users and then have some spikes and fits. But what it does that I think is important is connect the fact that we now have not just ubiquity of smartphones. We have data plans that are far more forgiving, and consumers are now willing to go consume data in the real world in ways they wouldn't previously. Then you also have the fact it was tapping into Pokemon, which is a multi-generational phenomenon, right? There are at least 2 generations of kids and teens and millennials who either watched the cartoon or played the card game or played the video game. And so they know this. And the whole game is called Pocket Monsters. That's what it's based on, is collecting things. I mean, its motto is, catch them all.
Yeah.
So it's built perfectly for the mobile phone. And then I think it also tapped into the form factor of how people were already using the phone. How many times have you been in a room and people are complaining about people having their head down in their phone?
Yeah.
But what was great about Pokemon Go, and what remains great about it, I think, is you can have your head down in your phone, but you can be with your friends and you're sharing stories about, oh, I got this one. Or, I've discovered that with my kids who are 15 and 11, that the best way to get them talking as teens and tweens is get them walking. And here's a game that actually did it. And now we have a shared experience, and it gets you out and you learn things. Now, the whole data set that Pokemon Go and Niantic built is based on an old game, Ingress, which was user-generated content about locations. It's 2 to 3 years old, so it's wrong in a lot of spaces. All you have to do is go to our offices right off of Madison Square Park, go into the park, and you will see that there are 4 Pokestops that are art installations that were removed 2 to 4 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So it also then lends itself to the fact that there has to be the ability to have real-time authoritative updating. And that's where I begin to get really excited because, we as a company, we are building that data set for our customers. We've got, over 700,000 locations under management now, and it continues to grow exponentially.
Yeah.
You look at that data set, you look at what Pokemon Go is doing, and now you begin to think really broadly and say, well, wait a second, that's a game. What if it was an educational activity? In New York City, It could be about architecture.
Yeah.
It could be about the history of Broadway. It could be about anything. And that gets me excited. So I really enjoyed being caught up in that phenomenon, having this amazing experience with my family that we shared just because it coincided with our move, but also because it opens your eyes to, wow, we really still are in the early innings of what mobility is going to bring to us, both in terms of entertainment and education and, potentially commerce.
Yeah, absolutely. And it puts a whole new light on this idea of virtual reality, augmented reality, machine learning, and all these things. And it actually applies it to a very simple game that your family can enjoy. And we were the same way. We were out all summer and then it came out. And so we go to Boston and I'm like, hey kids, let's go to Plymouth Rock. And when we get there, they're like, it's just a big rock on the ground, but there's 4 Pokestops over there. So let's go walk around and see the Mayflower.
And lots of magic carp, I imagine.
Exactly.
Because you're by the water.
Oh yeah. Walk around the lake if you need the 400 magic carp. But it was an experience. Like you said, you'd go out to parks and you would interact with people that would normally never say anything to you. And they'd say, there's a Pikachu over there, right?
Right.
It's a big deal. Everybody goes running. But you would interact with the locations and these people and places. And it was all brought to you by this place that was just beacons of simple little digital elements that we all want to collect.
Well, and again, I for those who play it, they understand it. For those who don't, again, I can understand the eye rolling. But I do encourage them to look under the hood because there's something here relevant to your business, whether you know it or not.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't have to be Pokemon Go. Let's also peel back who's the brains behind Pokemon Go. This is the creature of Niantic, which is a company that was spun out of Google, which the head of was the guy who was the founder and CEO of the company that Google had acquired that became the basis of Google Earth. So this is a gentleman who knows mapping infrastructure and what they're building. Pokemon Go is the first project. It's not the last. And also, I know in Japan they launched with some sort of promotion with McDonald's. You begin to think about the commercial implications of this. As you said, it made Plymouth Rock more than a rock for your kids. Now they're interacting and again, for those who haven't played the game, if you go to a Pokestop, it has information you can swipe and learn. And again, it's user-generated content, so sometimes it's not as robust as perhaps you would like. But now think about it in a commercial sense. If I'm McDonald's in the States, well, maybe I can not only have all the McDonald's be Pokestops, but maybe there are exclusive things to collect, or the incentives that I get for loyalty are things that I can then use in the game. There are coins, there's virtual currency, and I just saw the stat that Pokemon Go outgrossed a number of big blockbuster films this summer, including the latest Star Trek film, and including Ghostbusters. So there's a revenue stream there. But like a lot of fads, it's peaked, it'll settle, and it'll become what it is. And what it is still a value, even if it isn't at its height from July.
And my son's had Pokemon cards for 5-6 years. He's not putting down his phone anytime soon.
Right.
And he's that next generation that is going to take mobile into that next level. And he plays Minecraft. He understands virtual reality. He builds different places than I'd ever build for a kitchen in his house. He plays Pokemon Go. He loves to walk around and move and interact.
Well, I'm glad you bring him up as an example, because I was thinking about this while walking with my son, and he, again, you get a teen walking, they start talking. I like that. And we're having a conversation. A lot of his conversations begin with, so dad, and there's usually a question. If I don't know the answer, I'm like, let's go to the Google machine. Let's look it up.
Alexa.
Right. And if you're in your home, Alexa. But where we're getting with not only facial recognition, but object recognition is it's going to be putting up your phone to understand, what is that bird? What is that plant? There are already some apps that do this. And so that device becomes a window into the world, into greater knowledge in the moment. And again, getting back to what my panel was on, it was moments matter. And I get very intrigued by the idea that this device adds layers of understanding. It's up ultimately to us as users as to whether we want to have that understanding. But as we think about it from an enterprise marketing standpoint, I think it's imperative that you play with these new games and these new technologies, and you immerse yourself in them, and then you step back and you say, okay, how is it now relevant to my customer? You've got to put yourself in the shoes of that customer.
Absolutely.
And that's where you can have some epiphanies.
Today, real time is the only time that counts. To stay relevant, you have to stay ahead. Your customers want the right information, right now, wherever they are. So how do you meet the demands of today's customers? By marketing in context. Context accounts for a customer's interaction with your brand. So each touch builds on the next, creating more meaningful experiences for your customers. At Sitecore, we call this context marketing. To do it well, you need marketing technology that has three things: contextual intelligence, content management, and omni-channel automation. Contextual intelligence gives you the information you need about your consumers, so the content you manage is more relevant and is automatically delivered wherever your customers are. The Sitecore Experience platform was built for context marketing, so you can create a more personalized customer experience. Demand more from your marketing technology. Demand more from marketing. Own the experience. Sitecore.
I think if like in a hospital, you do all this work to get people in there. You've answered their questions online. They trust you. They come, they go to the doctor visit, and then something happens and they have to come in. You get inside the hospital and there's a map. But there needs to be a wayfinder, right? There needs to be a way in there. The locations matter. And then they're sitting in a waiting room and they're pissed because you've left them there for 3 hours with no information.
I'll take it a step back. It's funny you raise healthcare, because we've just released our Yext Healthcare Location Cloud, which is a purpose-built variation of our location cloud that has fields and data reception that is specific to the healthcare industry, and then it also has publishers like Vitals, which are specific to healthcare consumers. They're vertical publications that consumers rely upon. We forget that not every vertical industry is completely Google dependent or these other services, and healthcare is one of them. And the web, if you just do some simple searches on patient lost or bad location information hospital, you'll stumble on all sorts of articles that are really tapping into this problem that you have, and that is, forget getting to the waiting room. Patients are getting lost to the facility, because in the location data scenario of healthcare, you have facilities that have location data, but then you have doctors or the clinicians who are also sort of a location because they travel. So they might be at this facility Monday and Tuesday, but they're at this facility the next day. So you really have to manage both of those. And in a world driven by Obamacare, where you have a lot of doctor-free agency, so at the large healthcare providers, it really is about signing rock star physicians that then attract patients. Well, we see constant examples where they put all this money to bring in this new doctor. They make the press announcement, and then you go Google where that person is, or you look it up on Apple Maps, and it's their old practice. And so it's interesting that, in each industry there are different problems, but healthcare, it is replete with issues there because of, again, the free agency of doctors, and the fact that there's a lot of complexity in healthcare right now because of mergers, consolidations, et cetera. So,
and where you're at in New York, there's so many different types of options and different hospital groups and all these things, that having customers for a lifetime or a long time, it used to be where that doctor was, but now the doctor moves on and you need to keep them there.
I'll give you a personal example. My physician that I've had for 20 years in Cleveland, it's going to be hard to replace her. She's been, wonderful, but I've moved to New York. I'm going to need a physician there. But I happened to look up her information across a number of different sites. Her information is so wrong in so many ways on so many sites, going back to the place where we first met her 20 years ago on some sources. So, that's so inexplicable to me. We're talking about she has moved 3 times she's been in 2 different major healthcare systems, and that information is strewn across the web for her patients. And she's got a practice to run. She's not going to be fixing that. So it's up to the healthcare systems, the providers, the insurers, others to really take a look at that and help solve it. And then certainly we're looking at it from the product standpoint, again, with a mentality of, we're firm believers, obviously, that location data is critical, but there's no place it's more critical than in healthcare. And there's an example I use in one of my presentations. There's a doctor down in Birmingham, Alabama by the name of Dr. Mustafa Ahmed. And I happened to stumble into one of his posts on the Google My Business Network. And the headline was something along the lines of help, patients getting misdirected to the wrong location emergency. And you read into it, he had 3 patients who had been referred to him. He's a cardiologist, okay? 3 patients who didn't come to his office in Birmingham, Alabama. They traveled 6 hours to Gainesville, Florida, because there's another Dr. Mustafa Ahmed who's a cardiologist.
Wow.
And when they were searching, and I don't know, what search it was or what map service, it directed them there. And these are the types of problems we're working hard to solve. And again, I love the promise of location-based marketing, but we got to get the foundational level right. And as enterprise marketers, marketing has the biggest stake in this, because all of that bad data translates into bad customer experience, which translates then into bad brand perception. You fix this, now you've got a clean source of truth data source for your location data that then you can do even more advanced location-based marketing upon.
Exactly. And then, there's that nice elephant in the room, which has always been SEO. And with Google's new modern engine, you go to Kansas City and type barbecue. Guess what? You're not finding the foodnetwork.com. They're not even on the first page.
Right.
It's the locations of people that sell barbecue. And that data is based off of everything they're feeding into the engine. So yes, you can actually be on the first page of a keyword.
Yes.
So generic, like barbecue. And in Kansas City, it's usually Kansas City, Oklahoma Joe's what it used to be. They renamed it. They're silly. But yeah, but it's the barbecue shops. It's the barbecue restaurants. It's because in Kansas City, barbecue is a big thing.
I would encourage every one of your listeners to go to their smartphone after this and run generic searches in their location for terms that are relevant to their products and services, and look at what is presented in that smartphone. I bet you dimes to dollars, 9 times out of 10, it will be presented with the map pack, the location pack that has the map and 3 results, even on terms that you don't think should be presenting. So one of my favorite funny ones is run the search Deja Vu. Deja Vu will really and usually present locations, because in nearly every city in America, there is some club called Deja Vu.
Yeah.
And so again, the algorithm says, oh, this is a local search, so we need a map and we need some result sets. This is why we evolved not just to do the location cloud for data management, listings for distribution, but pages. So we work with our enterprise clients to create local SEO optimized pages, because now it's a game where you need to make sure that each location has really rich content. And that's being presented in the best way possible to the search engines, to the directories, so that when that search happens and they make the assumption that it is local, you're going to be in that result set, be it in the map pack or be it in the total, top 10 of the results.
Absolutely.
And we see some incredible results with that. I mean, we have, actually I was on a panel with Laura Cameron of KeyBank, which is a regional bank. It's actually acquiring First Niagara.
They got a big building with a key on it.
Yeah,
right?
right here in Cleveland. It's the tallest building in Cleveland, and they're going to be the 12th or 13th largest bank once their First Niagara acquisition is acquired. But strong community roots. And they implemented pages across all of their locations, and part of that allows them to put in, a call to action to become a checking customer, what have you. And they're seeing over 300 new conversions coming from that. That's just found money for them.
Exactly.
Right? Because that's traffic they
prescriptions.
didn't have before, now they do. And I think it's really important. Enterprise marketers need to understand this. It's not enough. I mean, you do need a store directory. You need a store locator if you've got lots of locations, but that's for a particular type of individual who already has brand affinity, who's coming to your site wants to know the closest store.
Yeah.
The vast majority of people are putting in unbranded terms, trying to find things that serve a need in the moment that matters to them. And they're reliant on Google, or increasingly a lot of searches are actually happening in maps.
Yeah.
That could be in Apple Maps, it can be Google. They're just typing it in. They're thinking this is a search engine anyway.
Yeah.
And so there's actually been a fragmentation of search because of the smartphone. Now there are a lot of different apps that will satisfy those needs. And so again, that ties back to our idea of update once and publish everywhere. So this combination to really win at local SEO is a matter of getting your location data right. So all the referenced sources are singular. You get rid of duplicative listings. Duplicate listing suppression is another thing that we do that's critical, because you will often have, because of the third-party data and other things, you'll have multiple listings for the exact same location, and we can work to suppress that. So you do that, you get your location data right, you get your page content. Now you've got this wonderful ecosystem that is driving local searchers and customers through your doors.
Yeah, and I mean, when you talk about pages, I work with software developers all the time. I've never once sat in a meeting where I said, okay, we're going to create some location pages for this business. And they're like, so where do we put the schema and where can we store that? It's like, these SEO problems, these location-based problems are not on the top of the minds of the people who are building the pages that you're putting out.
And you're hitting upon something important, and that is that enterprise marketers need to fight the good fight here, because there are a lot of very well-intentioned IT resources or development resources within organizations that say, oh, well, we can build pages. You're absolutely right. Anybody can build a web page practically. Just take a little bit of HTML. The problem is schema.org compliance. How do you structure the data? With changing algorithms, how do you make sure that you adapt and present that information? How do you make sure it's responsive on all the devices? These are all things that are going to impact its visibility. How do you make sure that has the location data that is the same that's in your listing? And those are all the things that we
on
tie
Labor
together.
Day, right?
Exactly. Well, I ran into that. I was, one of the grand things I've learned about living in New York is that you can pretty much have anything delivered. But like a fool, I was thinking I'm going to go to Costco, because Costco is an experience, right?
They have a Costco in New York City?
They do. They actually have one in East Harlem on 117th. And I was trying to figure out, was it open on the Sunday before Labor Day? And I thought I had seen that it was open. So I did a search, and then it's saying closed on today. And I realized what had happened is I had clicked on the shopping center that it was located in. And the shopping center had bad location data saying it was closed.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this, and I finally connected the dots. I went to then the Costco location, and it said it was open. So then I figured out, oh, okay, here's where the problem is. So again, I mean, we as consumers, we run into this every single day.
And we're so beat up by telemarketers and sales and ads and all this stuff. We won't call.
No,
We'll just say no.
You're never going to
They're
voice
closed.
that. You're just going to.
I'm not going to call the store and ask. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, it's just one more straw that might break the camel's back in terms of your brand experience. And you have enough of those, and all of a sudden you have this degradation in brand value, and it's wholly unnecessary. All the tools are there. Yext can provide that, right? Yeah. We can give you that. But it also does take process. You need to have somebody who's in charge of that. You need to have an organization that's committed to having source of truth location data. Because I'm here to tell you that the number of apps, both internally and externally, that are going to leverage and want location data are only going to increase in the coming years. And I think your organization really has to be ready to provide that. And so now's the time to kind of get right and focus on it. It's going to deliver a better experience to mobile users. And ultimately, all of that translates into more foot traffic through the door, which is what we're all shooting for.
And if you think mobile's the last voyage on this digital ride, augmented reality, virtual reality, they're all based on 3D renderings and vector-based precision locations on elements. Even the things sitting on your table are locationed, and they can be inserted, and everything matters. There's so many points that we're going to get into, so get it right now.
Yep.
So that way you can move into that next generation.
Absolutely. That is the strong foundation so that you can be more innovative in the future. Otherwise, you've got to go back and build that foundation. And the reason that location, the moment is now for location, is that we've gone through the email decisions. We've gone through the CRM decisions. We've gone through the social media management decisions. We've gone through, in many instances, the content marketing decisions. So a lot of our foundations are strong. This one is now necessitated by consumers who have ubiquitous smartphones, more accommodating data plans, and they're taking these devices out with them everywhere, and they're becoming an adjunct to their brain. I am in the Best Buy, right? My natural inclination that I've been accustomed to for a while now is I'm going to always look at price comparison on Amazon, but I have an immediate purchase need. So I want the reviews. I want to know who has this in stock. I actually had this happen with Guitar Center. We're buying a keyboard for my son. Is it in stock this weekend? Where can I go? There are 3 Guitar Centers in Manhattan, which is the best one. And, I got pieces parts of that. And certainly the location data is accurate. But what was actually interesting in that instance is that the best price online was actually higher than the best price I got in store. I got a local store thing that wasn't advertised. But that would even been a bigger differentiator if there were 2 different stores that had the same price. So there too, you've got to empower the local teams. And that's kind of how we built our architecture. So you can have command and control. So the brand's still in control, but you can empower that local team to have the additional information to push out that says, hey, we're having a sale on this particular thing, and drive, local recognition that drives additional value.
And we keep creating content that drives people in that 80% or the 60% like before that. So if somebody does a search on, hey, I'm looking for this particular type of guitar, or I'm looking for some sort of value. Robert Rose talked about something on this week's podcast called this content automation, right? The idea of machine generated content. Well, your browser told you where they were if you turned that on, or the app that they searched in told you where they were. And they searched for a particular guitar, and you've got the location data and you've got the inventory data. Guess what? You as a marketing team can push this together and say, I know you like this article. Here's the ones we have in stock 2 miles away from you. And because you guys are they're not just feeding the engines, but you're also feeding their system. It's a single place, just like the inventory management's a single place. Now you got location management, content management, all integrated, talking together.
Well, and then you add on to that, think like a customer, right? Sometimes it's the simplest, least expensive incentives that can get that person through the door. So if you know all that information and you've got the guitar in stock, hey, we're going to kick in 20 free picks. We're going to kick in a strap. There are things you can automate there that you have an inventory, that they're a low price point, but it's just that little bit of extra.
Next week we have a sale for it, so go ahead and give it to that customer today.
Right. And believe me, I am the first person to understand this is the challenge of our marketing generation, is how do you balance automation with the human touch? And frankly, being at Content Marketing World is a good time to talk about that, because I don't know if I've ever been as inundated with outreach from companies sponsoring an event as this one.
You got the email too?
The email. And it's not Content Marketing World's fault. It's just everybody is in this mode of being able to kind of harvest email addresses and
then writers, right?
And then all their business development people come after you. I literally have an inbox. I've created a folder where I've got like 30 of these, and I save them because I want to show our own sales development reps and say, look, you have to realize people are inundated. If you're not adding value, if you're telling me why you're valuable, but you're not telling me the value you're going to give me, or you're not trying to understand my needs, you're just noise.
Yeah.
And the ones that cut through my inbox are the ones that are immediately delivering some sort of value and have a respect for just how busy I am as an individual. And that's not me alone. That's everybody, right? We have tons of stuff in our inbox. And so automation in my mind should help make our message more relevant and timely and personal, all of those things. It shouldn't just be about getting more messages out. Automation is not supposed to be about volume. It's supposed to be about efficacy and performance.
Bill Gates has prescribed, let's charge by the email, right, for years. And we're moments away from having the no solicitor sign on email. And because we're doing the exact same thing that door-to-door salesmen did, that telemarketers did, and the no call list and all this stuff. And it's starting again because we're automating it and we're trying to end. Yeah, I'm like you. It's like, if you don't have permission to knock on the door, don't knock on the door.
Yep. And again, that's to bring it back full circle. That's why it's all the more imperative for enterprises to have their information right when the consumer comes calling. Micro moments that Google is talking about, moments matter that I've talked about for years. It's about the customer is raising their hand and saying, this is relevant to me right now. So we have to look at all the technology and all the content that we can put in play and in motion. And the easiest piece in the world to do should be your location data.
Yeah.
You should be right on that. If you're a business that goes to market with physical stores, facilities, agents, all that kind of stuff, that should just be table stakes.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time today.
Yeah, no problem. I always enjoy it, Jeff.
Yeah, this is fun.
There are so many marketing tools to choose from these days. More than 3,500 the last time we checked. If you're overwhelmed and confused, you're not alone. With so many options, marketers are having a difficult time trying to select which tools will meet their team's unique needs. So why do the top content marketing teams choose DVHQ? It's because of our unique focus. Let me explain. The typical content marketing process looks something like this. You start with a defined strategy, then you ideate and brainstorm with your team. Create a plan of attack, produce the content, optimize it, then publish and promote the content, and finally, review the analytics to see how your content performed. As you may know, most marketing software tools are built to support the back half of this process. There are countless CMS platforms, email marketing tools, marketing automation systems, social publishing tools, analytics suites, etc. The list goes on and on. But here's the thing. The back half of the process is not where companies are really struggling. What marketing teams are really struggling with is the upfront part of the process, the strategy, the ideation, planning, workflow, and collaboration during the content production process. Sound familiar? If you don't get your upfront strategy and planning right, the odds of consistently publishing great content is, well, not very good. So these upfront areas are where we focus 100%. We don't want to reinvent wheels or be a jack of all trades, master of none type of content marketing solution. DVHQ was on a mission to build a content marketing platform that makes it incredibly easy for you to plan and produce high quality content more efficiently. This approach then gives you the freedom to integrate and connect DVHQ to your preferred downstream tools. So, if you're looking for help with strategy, ideation, planning, and collaboration, then we're the solution for you.